Welcome back. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please leave a comment, tell me how to improve myself. I'm always looking for improvement, and your comment helps out a ton. Also, be sure to leave a comment, tell me about any future video you want me to make, or anything of that nature. Be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games, and subscribe if you're new, and just be like subscribing and stay up to date with the videos. I know it's been a while since I posted a video. That's kind of why I'm making this. Really, it's not a necessary video, but it's just a good discussion piece. Today we talk about whether the new Borderlands game should be called Borderlands 3 or BorderWorlds. Pretty good argument for both sides, but we'll get into it. Now, there's by no means a huge raging debate going on what the next game will be called. I feel like I had to make this video just because I haven't posted in a while, and I thought this is a good discussion piece. I'm surprised not more people are actually talking about and debating. But it's kind of a big toss-up right now between what the next Borderlands game will be called. A lot of people seem to be leaning towards it just being called Borderlands 3 because it's been known as that for so long in the community, and that's just what people refer to it as. But on the counter side, looking at all the patents and the renewing and whatnot that's been going on, BorderWorlds is definitely a good contender on, going forward what's it going to be called. So there definitely is a debate because there's a lot of speculation on what the game will actually be called. And it might not mean any of these options. It might be something completely different that no one even saw coming. I really can't see that happening. Most likely the game will be either Borderlands 3 or BorderWorlds, but we don't know at this point. The game hasn't even been announced yet. But there's definitely room for debate, and I want to make this video just to kind of give both sides that I've seen, my personal opinion, and I want to open up in the comments, what's your guys' opinion? What do you think it will be called? But let's get to the debate first. Now, for those of you that aren't caught up, which I honestly don't think anyone is, but if you haven't, basically the whole reason BorderWorlds is even an option is way back when Gearbox got a copyright for the term BorderWorlds, and everyone assumed that would be the name of the next game. And I'm not being true, obviously, because we haven't gotten a game that called that yet. But I want to say that was before 2. I don't remember the exact dates, but anyway, we've gotten a game after they've already got the copyright for it, and it wasn't called that, and it hasn't been used yet. Now, they kept renewing it every few years, however often you have to do it, and after so many years, you basically have to give a reason why you haven't used it yet, or proof that you've used it. And that would have been just a few months ago. They would need proof on why they haven't used it yet. And it was enough to justify keeping the copyright. So they still have it, and they obviously have intent to use it, or else they wouldn't keep redoing it. And they have a good enough reason to keep it that the Copyright Office keeps giving it to them. So the most obvious answer to why they still have it is that's what the next game will be called. Another strong debate for the BorderWorlds title would be just the fact that so far, even though they haven't explicitly came out with the game, Randy Pitchford and a lot of people from Gearbox have basically said this is the big Borderlands game. This is the big one. This is going to be huge, and a lot of people are directing that towards multiple planets, given the ending of Borderlands 2, showing all the vaults on different planets and whatnot. It basically makes us think we're going to be jumping from planet to planet, looting all these vaults, doing whatever, but that would entitle multiple worlds, the Border Worlds, if you will. So the game being called BorderWorlds would make sense, because it's not just the Borderlands anymore. It's not just one planet, Pandora, or I guess Elpis, if you want to count that too, and us traveling around the one planet. It's multiple planets, multiple worlds. So the name would make sense in that situation. Plus, it's just a badass name. I mean, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, that is an awesome name. Not even for Borderlands, just in general. BorderWorlds, it's definitely the next step up from Borderlands. And it's just such a cool sounding name. It would be very interesting. However, I do have my doubts. Now, Borderlands 3 really is just the name the community kind of gave it since Borderlands 2. After Borderlands 2 came out, Borderlands 3 was obviously the next obvious choice for a game title, because that's just numerical order, as simple as that. And even after the pre-sequel, the next big one from Gearbox themselves, not a 2K offshoot like the pre-sequel was, would be Borderlands 3, which obviously the next game is from Gearbox, not from 2K Australia, because they shut down. But anyway, besides that, the community basically gave the name Borderlands 3 to them, and that seems to be what a lot of people are referring to it as. If they're not specifically talking about the possibility of BorderWorlds being the title, Borderlands 3 is just traditionally what people have called it. I will admit, personally, like when I'm just thinking about the next game in my head and all possible videos, whatever, I always refer to it to myself as Borderlands 3. I really don't think of it as BorderWorlds. That's just how I personally call it too. But that's just, again, kind of what everyone calls it, even though there's not a ton of proof. Granted, there is some, like the Walmart leak we got a long time ago now, but it was Borderlands 3 in the leak, even though there's no game cover page for it. It was just the title Borderlands 3. Now, what that was just Gearbox basically reserving a spot on Walmart's shelf for that game when it comes out, so they gave it the title Borderlands 3. I'm not exactly sure how legitimate that was. They might have just said, hey, reserve for the next Borderlands game, so I might have put it as Borderlands 3 on the site. I'm not sure how legit all that is, but it's definitely a big plus towards that being the actual title. Also, before E3, if you guys remember the big long tweet Randy Pitchford sent out about the magicians and the whole misdirection, you'll believe what you want to believe, all that junk, whatever, he mentioned Borderlands 3 a couple times, but he always put it in quotation marks the couple times he mentioned it. Now, this is just, him being his little act that they've been playing of, oh, it's not Borderlands 3 in quotation marks. It's the whole thing they're playing about revealing it without revealing it, and I completely understand that. They gotta do that for now. But it's kind of confusing that he's accepting that it exists, but not that that's the title, because putting quotation marks kind of accepts that that's the title that the community gave it, which it is. So him referring to it as Borderlands 3 in quotation marks is more just addressing that he understands that's what the community calls it, and that's what it's known as. So without explicitly saying that's the actual title. But again, that's just kind of big plus towards this being the title. Also, in an interview during E3 or after E3, I forgot when it actually happened, he did kind of name drop it as Borderlands 3. Which again could just be a slip up. He could have just been saying what the community wanted to say. But again, just a big plus towards that being the possibility. Now, if it wasn't obvious when I was kind of giving both sides, I am definitely leaning more towards the Borderlands 3 side of things. Not even necessarily because there's more evidence that way, even though I think there kind of is when you take a step back and look at it. Just that's always been it's in my head, even before a lot of little hints came out. It's just in my head always been Borderlands 3. I can't even really imagine what else it'd be called. But like I said, there's definitely a good push and argument for it being called BorderWorlds. It's definitely hard to dispute that the name is definitely bigger in scale, which is what this game seems to be. And just the fact that we will most likely be going to different planets, BorderWorlds is definitely the next step up from Borderlands. And it is an awesome title, like I said. It is a great name for the next game. And if they call it that, I'm all for it. But to me, that always sounded more like an MMO almost, which Borderlands in an MMO setting would be kind of weird. It just seems bigger, like there'll be multiple people kind of doing their own thing, almost what Fallout 76 seems to be doing, like just online, you kind of do your own thing, but there's other players in there. And honestly, in a Borderlands game, it could be great. It maybe not as great as, I don't know. I don't know if I want that or not. Obviously, there's nothing backing it up other than that's what the title always kind of sounded like to me. But yeah, when it comes to the next actual big Borderlands installment, I think it will be Borderlands 3. But there's definitely an argument for both sides. That about does it. Be sure to leave a comment, tell me your opinion. Just kind of curious about what other people think about what it'll be called. I'll also be sure to leave a comment if I missed anything, or just kind of general comments about the channel. Always looking for improvement, and your comment helps out a ton, so be sure to leave that. Subscribe if you feel like it, so always stay up to date and all that junk. Also be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games. It's me and my friends having fun playing video games. It's a pretty good time over there. And yeah, that about does it. Keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together.